How to prepare for an interview in English. If you just learned the language, facing an English-speaking interviewer can be a big challenge. The secret? Great preparation, of course. Every year, hundreds of thousands of people learn English to advance their career goals. For many, it's the best decision they ever made. However, if you just learned the language, facing an English-speaking interviewer can be a big challenge. After all, interviews don't just test your ability to do a job. They test how well you can come up with interesting answers under pressure, which is especially difficult if you've got to translate them into a foreign language first. The secret to doing well is great preparation. Do as much of your thinking as possible before the English interview conversation takes place. This extremely thorough guide will tell you what to expect, what to research, and how to plan the perfect response to common questions. Follow all of its steps, and you can be confident that you have the best possible chance of success. Preparing for an interview in English, top tips. Get a clear picture of the perfect candidate. When preparing for a job interview in any language, a great first step is to go back through the job advertisement. Underline the qualities, qualifications, and experiences that the recruiters have asked for in a candidate. Many candidates forget that this is the information that their answers should focus on. Look for phrases you can adapt and use in your prepared answers to common questions. Research the company. Researching the company you are interviewing with is a great way to stand out from other applicants. It proves that you are already committed to its aims and values, and are serious about spending your future there. Stalk the company online, its website, customer reviews, social media channels, and any news stories connected to it. Make a special point of researching your interviewer. You might find that you share something in common with them. If you do, it can be a useful basis for establishing a friendly connection in the interview. Write a few whole sentences about your findings, especially things that show the company in a positive light. Sprinkling some facts about the business into the conversation will show that you have prepared thoroughly and would make a dedicated employee. Examples of points you might make note of include: they were founded 2 years ago in San Francisco. Their marketing campaign won a prestigious national award last year. They recently opened up an office in Lisbon. Don't leave the practical points to the last minute. When you're dedicating a lot of time to the difficult parts of interview prep, the easy parts can sometimes slip your mind. If your mom likes to fuss over you, try to think about what she might say before your interview. Consider silly questions like: what are you wearing? Is it smart? Will you get sweat patches if it's too hot? Do you have a plan to keep yourself looking professional if it's raining? How will you get to the interview? What time do you have to leave home to get there 15 minutes early? Do you know who to ask for at reception? Have you spoken to your current boss to excuse your absence from work at the interview time? Will you remember to switch your phone off or put it on silent? What are you going to eat, listen to, or do beforehand to ensure that you are in a calm mood? The top 10 job interview questions and how to answer them. The most effective way to prepare for an interview in English is to plan your answers to common questions. Luckily, English interview conversations usually follow a common structure. Even if you are not asked all of these questions directly, revising what you would say to them will get you thinking about how to sell yourself best. Try coming up with a few sentences and useful phrases to answer the following questions, and learn them by heart. For extra reassurance, you could ask a native speaker to check them, and ask whether they could rephrase anything to sound more natural. No one is perfect the first time around, so make sure the interview isn't the first time you say your answers aloud. Ask an English-speaking friend to role-play the interview with you, or even just record your answers and listen back to them. Better yet, get one of Preply's expert business English tutors to rehearse with you. You will be amazed at how much more confident you feel afterward. Tell me about yourself. Whether you are interviewing to be a chef, a student, or an astronaut, this will almost certainly be the first question you hear. In most English classes, you learn how to introduce yourself in one of the very first lessons. Something along the lines of, I am 29 years old, I live in Russia, I have 2 brothers, and I like jogging and cooking. But here you need a different answer, one which makes a professional first impression. Come up with a short paragraph that describes your working history, with a focus on your successes. Describe yourself how your favorite boss would describe you. You should include a few personal details so that you come across as human, but aim for a ratio of 70% career history to 30% biography. A good example might look like this.
I grew up in a small town in Poland, then studied my BA in Business and Hospitality Management at International Telematic University, Milan. I absolutely loved the course, and living in Italy, where the food was delicious, and in my final year, became involved with the Women in Business Society. After that, I gained a place on the Four Seasons Hotel Manager Graduate Scheme. With them, I was lucky enough to spend half a year working in New York, and another half in Oslo. I loved working with such international teams and the fast pace of life at the hotels, especially the one in New York, where I made a lot of friends. I definitely thrive in that kind of environment, which is why this opportunity appealed to me.
Why are you interested in this role? The real reason, of course, is because you feel very passionate about having enough money to live on. But we all know that isn't an answer that wins jobs. By asking this question, companies want to test whether you understand what the role will involve and whether you truly believe you will enjoy it. A good answer will express genuine enthusiasm and give specific examples of what seems great about this job in particular. If you are looking for ways to start, try, this opportunity is perfect for me because something I noticed in the job advertisement really caught my eye.
I thought this position would be perfect for me because I have experience of acting as an assistant manager at another hotel from my graduate scheme, and really enjoyed it. Gaining a permanent contract as an assistant manager would be an ideal next step for me. I also noticed that you offer further training opportunities, which is something I would be interested in. I am ambitious, so I was really excited to see that there is a clear path to progression within this company.
What skills do you have that will make you great at this job? As with many of these questions, Your interviewer might phrase this in several different ways. Why do you think we should hire you? What makes you the best person candidate for the job? What can you offer us? What can you bring to the table? What makes you a good fit for our company? Essentially, the question is asking you to sell yourself as an employee. When planning your answer, make sure you list skills that are directly relevant to the role. Base your reply around the points made in the job advert. Make sure you back up any claim about your skills with examples to justify it.
I think I would be an asset to the company because I am a really good manager of people. At college, I wrote my thesis on the psychology of leadership, and I put it into practice in my career to great effect. When working at the Four Seasons, I was responsible for a pool of hosts and reception staff. In an anonymous survey, almost all of them said that they would feel comfortable coming to me if they had problems at work.
Where do you see yourself in 5 years' time? This question can feel daunting. Nobody knows where their career path will take them. However, your interviewer is not going to ring you in 5 years and ask if you stuck to the plan, so don't worry about being too accurate. A good answer will list some definite goals, some less definite ones, and paint a bright future for yourself within your industry. It will show that you are ambitious, looking to staying in your industry long-term, with this company if possible, applying for this job because it will help you live a life you aspire to.
In 5 years' time, I hope to be working as a manager in a hotel. I want to be totally beloved by my staff and known for having an open-door policy so that any team member feels free to discuss their problems or successes with me. I want to have gained a few extra professional qualifications in human resources management and refine my skills as a sommelier. I also want to get to B1 level in French.
Why do you want to work here? With this question, the employer wants to check that you didn't just apply to every vacancy with your target job title. They want to know that something stood out to you about this company in particular. This question, therefore, requires a little bit of research. Some things that could be useful to consider include the size of the company. There are benefits to working for a huge company that sets the trends in its industry. There are also benefits to working for a small company, where you might get more responsibility early on. The company's values and aims, which are usually found if you search the internet for their mission statement. Anything the company has been in the news for lately. The company's reputation in the industry. How good the company's products or services are. The company's growth in recent years.
I would love to work for a relatively young and growing hotel chain like this one. I think I will get the chance to make a real difference and gain more responsibilities early on than I would at a bigger hotel. I also noticed that you won Good Housekeeping Magazine's Hotel of the Year award in 2019, which is really exciting. I believe that working here would give me the chance to learn from the best.
What are your salary expectations? This is a very difficult question to answer in any language. Give an answer which is too high, and you risk losing the job to someone whose labor is cheaper. However, you don't want to earn less than you are worth. If you can, avoid being the party to set the first figure with phrases such as, "I would prefer to understand the full package of benefits you offer staff before considering an appropriate figure for the salary. Would that be possible?" Would be glad to talk about this if and when you were to make me a job offer. I would prefer to learn more about the role and its responsibilities before discussing money. May I ask what salary range you're considering for this position? However, your interviewer might push you to give a number, so come prepared with a figure. Make sure that you have researched what a good salary is for this role, within this sector, and in this location using tools such as Glassdoor. It is better to give a range of salaries, rather than an exact figure, but beware that most interviewers will be likely to opt for the lower end of the numbers you suggest. Why do you want to leave your current job? This is a tricky question to answer. Remember, the golden rule of interviews is to seem like a great employee. If you are changing jobs because you clash with your boss, now is not the time to mention it. Try to keep it positive and focus on what you are excited to do in your new job, rather than listing negatives about your current one. Some good reasons for leaving include: I feel I have outgrown my job and am ready for a new challenge. I want to relocate and experience life in a different city. I wasn't seriously considering a change, but a friend sent me this job and it seemed like a perfect fit. My current role doesn't use all of my skills. This one seems like it will be more fulfilling for me. If you were asked to leave your last job and have a gap in your CV, be as honest about it as possible without showing yourself in a bad light. Some ideas include, unfortunately, my last company got into financial trouble, had a restructuring, and I was laid off, along with many of my team. My company changed significantly during my time there, and unfortunately, there was no need for someone of my skill set any longer. What are your strengths? This question is an opportunity to make a good impression. There are 2 keys to answering it effectively. 1. Back up every adjective you use to describe yourself with a clear example from your career. 2. Make sure that all of the strengths you list are relevant to the job you are applying for.
One of my strengths is that I am very organized. For instance, when I was a temporary assistant manager at the Four Seasons Hotel in Oslo, I tidied up the admin office. It sounds like a small thing, but it hadn't been done in years and made a big difference to the day-to-day efficiency of administrative operations. No one realized how many unused staff uniforms we already had buried there. We didn't need to order any more for months.
What are your weaknesses? Everyone has weaknesses. Your interviewer wants to know if you are aware of yours and willing to work on them. A good strategy for answering this question is to pick something you used to be bad at, and show how you have recently taken steps to improve yourself.
I sometimes struggle to speak my mind at work and worry about upsetting people too much. However, I have been taking steps to overcome this recently. I just read a book called The Power of Positive Confrontation, which gave some great insights into why it is necessary to speak frankly sometimes, and some tips I have started using with my coworkers. I already think my communication is improving, and plan to keep working on it.
Any questions for us? No matter what else has happened during the interview, this will almost certainly be the final question you are asked. It is important to come with some questions prepared ahead of time. It shows your interviewer that you have seriously thought about what life would be like as a new hiree. It also prevents ending the interview with a long, awkward pause. Hopefully, specific questions will come up during your research on the company, but if not, try one of these.
What are the opportunities for progression within this role? Is there anything you wish you had known before joining this company? When can I expect to hear back from you? What is the working culture like at your company? How will my success be measured? Do you have any concerns or final questions for me? What are the next steps in the interview process? Where do you think this company will be in 5 years' time?
If you need more time to answer an interview question, even the best prepared candidates sometimes get stuck. If you don't have a good answer to a question immediately, don't be afraid to pause and take the time you need to think about it. If you need a few extra seconds, you could repeat the question back to the interviewer thoughtfully. Alternatively, you could say something like,
"That's a good question. Can I have a moment to think about it, please? Can we circle back to that one, please? I could do with a moment to think about it. That's a very interesting question. What exactly do you mean by that?"
Interviewers note that you are nervous, so try not to worry if some of your answers aren't perfect. If you wake up in the night after an interview and realize you forgot to mention a crucial point, you can always mention it in a follow-up email. 7 Common Behavioral Interview Questions. Questions about your past behavior at work are becoming increasingly common in job interviews. They often start with the sentence, "Tell me about a time when you." With these, your interviewer wants to check that you know how to behave professionally and in line with their company culture. Coming up with relevant examples can feel especially daunting in an interview, especially if you do not have much career experience to draw upon yet. Once again, however, the secret is preparation. Try to revise a short paragraph about your biggest career success so far. Your biggest career failure so far. A time when you made working life easier for your team. A time when you made a positive impact. A time when you made a mistake but cleared it up. A time when you kept working under pressure. A time when you disagreed with your boss. Afterward. Planning responses to all of these points definitely adds up to a lot of homework. Then again, if an English language interview is the only thing standing between you and a job that will change your life, then it's worth all of the preparation you can possibly do. If you take such an in-depth approach, the interviewer is bound to notice your commitment.